my brother could be able to go places and do things, and I'm like, well, why I can't? Now, granted,
Mhm.
there's a 5 year age difference between the two of us, but when you're a child, you don't understand the logic behind why the boys get to do certain things that the girls can't do. But unfortunately, in most black households, they usually I've heard this, and I don't know if you ladies can attest to hearing this before. I was always told, well, it's different for boys. If a boy go out there and get a girl pregnant, he's not bringing that baby home. Whereas if you go out there and get pregnant, that baby is coming home with you. That is your baby. That baby is now in the household with our family. Does it make it right when I'm like, what? I don't even understand that. But that's some black parents logic behind why boys could do certain things that girls couldn't do, and you don't understand that shit as a kid. But I
Mhm.
do kind of somewhat understand it now. I do. I
I understand it. I understood what they were saying in terms of just that in general. Like, yes, more the responsibility is going to fall on the girl because she's
Mhm,
going to have the baby. That I understand.
mhm.
But that doesn't negate the fact that if he gets to hang out at 12 and she has to come in at 9, he's still out getting somebody pregnant.
Why did I
That
be on
baby
the
ain't coming
other
home
side?
though.
I would be
You
more
know what I'm
concerned
saying?
at just riffraff going on outside. I'd be like, okay, well, I don't want anything to happen to my children after, because bad things tend to happen late at night. Well, sometimes in the daytime nowadays.
Mhm.
But so my concern would be, even for my son, I don't want him to get
Exactly.
into anything, not necessarily a female, but it is anything that's just not positive, at that time of night. So
And
that
for
would be my
me,
concern.
I'm more concerned about my son. I mean, just statistically, having a black male son. You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely want him to be in the house too. Like, the thing is, anything done after dark can't be good. So whether you male or female, you need to be in the house. Like, you just do. You don't need to
As
be
a child,
as a
absolutely.
child. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As a child, you don't need to be hanging out. And so that's why I'm like, no, at 16, if this is what the curfew is for my daughter, when my son turns 16, this is going to be the curfew for him as well. And then that will also change, also depending on the maturity of the child as well. You have to consider that too. The responsibility, how responsible they are. But yeah, I've just never been big on double standards when it's about right and wrong. What's right is going to be right. What's wrong is going to be wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. Nobody is supposed to get a pass because they're male or female. I just don't agree with all of those double standards.
Okay, how about men being vulnerable and emotional? Women are allowed to be vulnerable and emotional, but men are not. I don't know. They kind of emotional on YouTube.
They be in their feelings a lot, right?
Feelings. And they gonna tell, not our chat, not y'all. But on YouTube, oh my God, they be in their feelings. They be like, oh, come lay your head on my shoulder. So what do you guys think about that? Men being vulnerable, emotional.
I think
Emotional
that
and vulnerable are two different things, first of all. Let's just get that straight.
All right, break it down. What's the difference to you?
I think just being when I think about a relationship, just open to allowing me in, being vulnerable to, our relationship, or to being just taking the wall down, so to speak. Whereas emotional is like, man, and then it's
I
going in. Like all them emotions, like that passion, passion, emotions just come out. You know how men be coming at the women like, y'all just some da 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 da. I just feel that emotion. You've been hurt
Mhm.
before. I understand, and you're lashing out. Maybe this is a safe place for emotional men. That's why it's so popular. We have told men that they cannot be emotional. and
I'm
they
gonna
come
look
to
up a
you
definition of
to
both,
lash out their emotions.
just so we can all be on the same page.
You said what
Um,
now?
I said I'm gonna look. I'm gonna read the definition of both. This used to be Juicy J's
This is what
job.
I thought. Like I'm not in the Webster. This is what
Uh,
I'm thinking when I think of that. Go ahead.
okay,
I
so
think.
vulnerable
Oh,
means
you found it.
susceptible to physical or emotion. Okay, no, not that one.
Well, that's the one
Um,
I was talking about.
huh?
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, it says susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm.
Oh, not harm.
Yeah, no,
But
not
it could
that.
be like I don't think it's just harm though. It could be to anything, right? Not just harm for sure.
Right. You're talking more like vulnerability.
Love, but like,
Right.
yeah, I love you. Feelings.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I guess just being open, I guess, because using a Webster definition, it keeps talking about harm.
Hmm. Well,
Let
I
me just
wasn't
see if
thinking
I can
about harming
find
my
a
man. I
different
don't want you
one.
to be vulnerable so I can harm you. I just want to love you.
Well, yeah, it says capable of being physically or emotionally wounded.
Well, I guess love can lead to,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
so opening yourself up
stuff
to like
up where the potential could happen.
exactly. So that's a
Got
good.
it.
Thank you for defining.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, I I think vulnerability, I think men should be just as well as women when you're in a relationship, especially when you're talking about marriage. There should be a level of vulnerability on both ends. I should be 100% open and he should be 100% open to, like what that definition said, to be the potential where you may end up getting hurt, but at least you open yourself up so you could try to have the deeper connection. Emotional, I do think men should be able to be emotional. However, I also understand that there's different ways that men express their emotion.
Facts.
Um, what I don't like is when we try to train, and I know people are going to disagree with me, but especially other men, um, that we train our young boys to kind of not have any emotion. Like soon as they show that they're hurt or whatever, that man up, man up.
But
You know
isn't
what I'm
it
saying?
emotional? Like when I see kids get in fights, they got
Yeah,
that little, and
yeah. They be
that's
like, man
emotion.
up. And it's very important for you to have a level of emotional intelligence, right? And the only way that you're going to learn that is as a kid, how you're taught how to deal with emotions. Emotions are not a bad thing, but it's how you act on those emotions that make them bad or good. And we don't teach our, especially I'm gonna say men, we don't teach our men, when they're boys, how to deal with their emotions. So what happens a lot of times is that they act out.
Yeah,
You'll typically see the emotions that men express most of the time is typically in anger.
true.
It's like those hard emotions, not necessarily the vulnerable emotions. A lot
Fact.
of times you'll see men when they cry, they'll cry over losing a game. You know what I'm saying? A championship game, they'll cry. But something else happens, where their feelings are hurt or what have you, they're taught not to cry. You know what I'm saying? And that I don't necessarily agree that we should be reinforcing those kind of things into our young boys because we see it in high school. Like they're so angry.
It
They're
would be interesting.
angry at
It would be interesting to
everything.
know how men feel about that, though. I know as a mom, we're like, oh, emotional, but I know a lot of men, especially coaches, they're like, toughen it. What? Huh? Toughen it up.
Mhm.
Get that.
Yeah.
So I think that, for me, I don't mind an emotional person. I don't want him to be like outside, like slashing my tires, emotional, like no
Yeah.
crazy emotional, but because you know how women can get. But a little bit of emotion to show that he has a heart. I think that that's attractive, actually.